welcome to the Improv Summit. As always, I'm your host, and instead of a very special guest, because I say it all the time, I'm now changing it to something exciting. And I was going to say, I couldn't think of a word. I was going to say a dulce de leche guest, but I think
I'm
that just
here for it.
doesn't. I don't think that means what I think it means, but it's a delicious flavor. A delicious
I
guest.
love
Let's say a delicious guest. I have a
yes.
delicious guest with me today, Joy. Joy, how are you doing?
I'm feeling like a dulce de leche right now. I feel like some cream and some caramel. Woo,
Mm,
baby. I'm feeling
yeah.
sweet and sultry. I appreciate that descriptor. I'll take it. Put it on my
It's the
business
first
card.
thing I thought of, but it's very apt, I think.
I'm here for, I love dulce de leche.
Yeah, it's good. Good stuff.
It's good stuff. You ever have
So
a
yeah,
dulce
so
de leche cupcake? That's
mm,
that's the good
I
stuff.
feel like I
Am I allowed to
have.
curse? Probably not.
Yeah,
I
do
won't.
whatever you want. Yeah, sure, whatever. I'm
Good
not
shit.
like censoring it. Content warning, bad words
Yeah, but
may
just like,
happen.
but just in the context of delicious treats.
Yeah. Yeah,
Anyway,
it's like the good place. It's like forking good. Forking good
exactly.
food.
Yeah. I love The Good Place.
Yeah.
It's my favorite show.
Well, yeah, I haven't confession, I haven't seen it. It's
What,
on my list.
Spencer?
I
It's a
know.
great show. It's a
I
perfect
know.
show. I
I started watching season one, and then for whatever reason I just forgot. And then everyone talks about how
I've
great
heard
it
that
is.
from people. That blows
Yeah,
my. I have to say, it blows my mind, especially because have you finished the first season?
I don't think I finished. I think because
Okay.
I think it was like whenever it came out, I was like in grad school, I think. So I was able I had like a day where I was able to watch stuff, so I started watching it, and then of course grad school exists, and I had no time. And then at that point, like the show had almost been ended, and I was like, ah, well, the show's over.
It's so good. It's so good. Especially the reason I say have you finished the first season is because the cliffhanger from season one is so good. And,
But then I
I
can
mean the whole
immediately watch
show.
season two.
Like it's only 4 seasons. It's a
Yeah,
very fast watch. They're half-hour
and it's
episodes.
20-minute episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, they're 20 minute. And truly, I've never felt so much emotion of good happy tears, just eye-opening points of view, not to mention joke after joke after joke. It is so freaking funny that it really did break my heart that I realized I was like, I'll never be able to be on this show. It's done after this fourth season. Like it's
Hmm.
honestly, it's a true piece of art. So if that is a good enough recommendation, go back.
Well, I bet you'll be the series regular on the sequel, The Great Area.
I hope so.
I don't know. I just put
Somehow.
somewhere
Exactly.
one more
West Side
day. That's a
Story,
different. I
Spielberg.
just
I'm
changed
actually
it.
really excited to see it. This is exactly what I want to see. I don't want to see some newfangled, you know, like outside of the genre of what West Side Story once was in film. I want to see them do it
Hmm.
like the way it was, just with with more effects, and also like actually making it fully bilingual. Like, oh, how wonderful! What a
Yeah.
wonderful, cool way. I hope it's great. I really
Also,
hope it doesn't let me down like many movie musicals do.
yeah. Oh, yeah. They're hit or miss for
Oh, it
sure.
breaks my heart.
There's some real great hits and some real poor misses.
Real stinkies.
Real rough. Yeah, real rough misses. But yeah, I also didn't realize that they said it was the 60th anniversary, and I was like, no, 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 it's only 50 years old. And then I was like, oh, it's 2021. Oh
I
goodness,
know.
it is 60 years old. Wow.
It's so wild to think about that. Time is a construct, but it is a kooky one, bruh.
Yeah, it sure is. And I think the musical actually premiered on Broadway in 58,
Stop.
which is when my dad was born.
Wow. My dad's a little older than closer. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah. It was like 58 or it's like 58 or 59 because I think it was West Side Story and Music Man, and Music Man beat out West Side Story. And I love Music Man. I love
It's a
Music
good
Man.
one. That was one of
And
the
I
first
think
musicals I
that
ever did.
that was just like one of the worst battles because it was West Side Story, Music Man, like great shows. Like how like
I'll
they're
say
so
West Side Story is
different.
better. I love Music Man. It brings me such glee, but it's so what you think of as American musical theater, that when West Side Story is compared to it,
Yep.
it's like that is like sexy art, you know, like.
And that's why in 1958 or 1959, you can't really be surprised that Music Man won over West Side Story.
Exactly. But that's
But
how you gotta think of it.
here on the Improv Summit Musical Edition,
Hey, I'm here for it.
and Cupcake Edition. No, let's just dive in and do this thing.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about you, Joy, and your relationship to improv, whatever that means to you, your improv background, whatever you want to talk about with your relationship to
Improv is the boyfriend who I keep going back to, even though he treats me bad sometimes.
Even when you think you're done,
you think you're done,
try
he pulls
again.
you back in. No, I love improv. I do. It's the longest relationship truly I've ever been in.
I feel the same way, I think,
years.
except like my parents. I mean, I've known them longer, but
that's a whole other set of complexes. But I mean to say, I've been doing comedy for 17 years since high school. I always knew. I'll tell you this. I knew for sure I wanted to do comedy when I did The Music Man, because that's where I did my first comedic role accidentally. I was just doing a bit during rehearsal. I was putting a character voice on my Pick a Little Lady, and my director loved it. And she was like, do that in the show. You can't do that in rehearsal unless you're going to do it in the show. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing it in the show. And it went really well. And ever since then, I really knew I wanted to do comedy because it was when Whose Line Is It Anyway was coming up. And that show was such, and I should say the American version. It had already been on TV for a long time in England, but I wasn't aware of it until the Drew Carey iteration. And it was such magic to watch Wayne Brady or Colin Mockery do anything. Like, it was just like, my dad and I actually like really bonded on that show. And we would just be like, my dad was a professional composer and conductor, and our jaws would just be to the floor after Wayne Brady did one of his songs. You know what I mean? Like, we just couldn't fathom how something like that could exist. And then my sister got on her comedy sports high school league team at the same time. And that's when I was like, this was all around my 8th grade year of coming up. And it was so clear. I was like, I want to do this. I want to be able to make stuff up. And I've always enjoyed it, even when it's beaten my confidence down. I have as a teacher learned now, like, that's the only thing about improv that I strive to not let my students feel is self-conscious, or like their confidence is shot, because that was the worst place I ever was mentally. Because improv, you're making stuff up out of your head, and when you're not doing well, you're like, oh, it's me. I am the catalyst of badness in this concoction. And all you do is try to be better, when in fact, if someone had told me, hey, Joy, you are enough. Hey, Joy, you're smart and a genius and a poet, and you have a whole breadth of experience that is unique and wonderful, and we want to hear about it. If I had been told that at a younger age, who knows what I would have been able to accomplish, like,
oh yeah,
like, and I've done a lot in my life, but I could have gone even farther. And I just hope that I'm still pretty young.
Yeah.
But in the rest of my life, here's hoping that we can still build something great. And I will. I'm not even hoping. I know now I can.
Sure.
10 years ago, probably not.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
Well, I was gonna say, I'm glad that you mentioned the whole like self-conscious thing. Because as someone who was very self-conscious based on prior relationships I had with like jobs or with like internships, I had been told that I was the worst intern that a company had ever had. I was told I hit rock bottom. I was cornered in a room and like they were just like prying me about my personal life. Like, so I was like, I guess I'm just that bad. Well, I've just dropped all ties with them, so I was like, whatever. But like,
and there's such power in dropping ties with people who don't serve you and lift you up.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, it's like one of those things where like I was like, oh, I guess I just am like the worst. And then I went to do improv for like acting and directing, and I was like, I need to do an improv class. And the first class I took, I literally went in with like, I don't want to make a mistake because I'm already the worst. And so it was like this thing where it took me a while in improv to start to rebuild that confidence. When I regained it, I started to learn like, oh, the world's not going to stop if I say like the quote unquote wrong dialogue in improv, and it's never wrong. It's just that's what
I,
it is.
I say in all my
But
classes, we treat improv, especially new improvisers, treat improv with the same adrenaline as jumping out of a plane. It's
mhm,
that same kind of like, like, oh God, I'm gonna say where we are. We're in a kitchen. Like, the fear of saying something wrong. When I think we teach improv incorrectly. Granted, I say that with being taught improv incorrectly, so it's brought me to this understanding.
sure.
So I can't say it's totally wrong, but I think the way we need to restructure how we teach improv, and what I strive to do, is not start with the idea of saying yes to everything. Because I think that puts a lot of pressure and a lot of stress, especially when you accidentally say no to things. But more than that is everything you do is right. That should be the
Mhm,
first thing you learn. And I learned that still early, but not as the first thing. And the inevitability of saying, like, it's impossible for you to say something wrong because everything you do is right. And of course, barring something sexist, racist, homophobic, ableist, ageist, anything that is and
right.
divisive, that's a whole different subject. But in terms of creating an idea and throwing something out there, the fact that you're brave enough to say anything means you're doing it right.
Mm,
So just choose to trust that, and it won't be easy. But that should be the first
mm,
skill you learn, more than just saying yes, 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 because that can be
yeah,
like you're being dragged, by the collar or something.
sure.
And it's not helpful. It breeds such anxiety and fear versus confidence,
Mm,
which is what we should all hope to accomplish, because improv teaches leadership, teamwork, believing that ideas can come to fruition. Like, it frustrates, like, again, had I had that perspective, I feel like there would be so much more of my art out there.
mhm.
um
Yeah. And
yeah.
I think that also goes into like feedback itself from like coaches and teachers. One thing I've noticed is, I'll go through programs, or like I'll get halfway through programs and I'm like, I was like, do I get improv? Like, I don't understand. Like, I'm like, I feel like I'm doing such a bad job because it's like in the moment, we're getting corrected on the scenes because we're learning in class or in coaching that we're trying to figure out, how to make improv better,
Mhm.
that we sometimes neglect to say, like, that was a really great scene. Here are some
Yeah.
things that I would like to maybe consider. And so I remember when I was getting final evaluations for like a class, they always do that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
I was talking to the teacher, and the teacher, like, I was like, it was like, we're gonna tell you, like, about if you should move on to the next level and this and that. And I went out, it was like my turn, and I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know. Like, I just did a scene. I didn't feel great about the scene. Can I do improv? And I
Mm.
remember the teacher literally says to me, the first thing she says was, Spencer, you get improv. There's no denying that you get improv. Like, you're very good at it. You're carrying a lot of scenes, which shows when things go off the rails, you're able to bring it back and keep it like, you know within a realistic world. You're not like making it fly off the walls. Um, and she's like, but just be more confident and go out there. And I was like, I'm doing it right, and no one told, like. And so I
Yeah.
think that
Well, how
it's
unfair is that? How
yeah.
unfair is that? That we get, first and foremost, just thinking about also all of my high school, middle school, college anxiety about grades, right? You work so
Hmm.
hard you work so hard to try to get that A, you get the A. Or what if they just never told you what your grade was? What
Hmm.
if they just never told you and you just had to just fly by the seat of your pants being like, I hope this, I'm gonna graduate.
Hmm.
But in improv, it's all based on the feeling of the scene.
Hmm.
And I agree with you, going back a couple ticks of
Yeah.
the idea of, hey, that was a really great scene. Guess what? Everything you did was right. everything, absolutely everything. And that scene will never exist again. You just created something absolutely unique and perfect. And with that, here's what we can do even better. Like, I am not of the mind of, I hate teachers. I hate teachers who say, why did you make that choice? Clearly you should have made the other choice. No, it wasn't clear because I was on stage making this choice.
Mm-hmm.
Had it been clear that I was in your brain that whole time, sure, but I wasn't. So
Right.
screw you for telling me that my choice was wrong, when instead you could be telling me, hey, here's how you can make your choice better. Like,
Mm-hmm.
because again, all that teaches you is it's the opposite of yes anding. It's saying no but. It's saying,
Mm-hmm.
like, we teach you, like, here's the start of the scene, here's the end of the scene. Yes and, yes and, yes and, yes and.
Mm-hmm.
High five. Or if you go, start of the scene, here's an offer, yes and, here's an offer, no but. Here's an offer, yes and, here's an offer, no but. No but. Oh no, we're going into negative improv space.
Mm-hmm.
The poor
Yeah.
end of scene is so much farther away now,
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's a waste of time. It's like, why should I have gone home all those nights in college crying myself to sleep saying, why did I make that choice? Why am I
Right.
stuck in improv? Oh, that
Yeah.
didn't make me
And
better.
it's also like I'm thinking about it now where it's like, I mean, I will say, like, on this show, like when I'm doing improv, it's like, okay, cool, so what led you to that initiation or whatever. It's not like it's
Sure.
a right or wrong, but it is like the idea of like, sometimes I've had teachers or like even audience members who are like, I love that scene that you did. If I was in your shoes, I would have said this. And I'm literally like, that's a great option. I wish I had thought of it, but I didn't because I
And maybe
there's
you
so
should have
many
been in it.
options.
Maybe you should have jumped up a little faster, Jeff. Like, maybe, like, shut up. I hate notes like that.
Like,
That's not
sorry,
helpful.
I didn't have the
If
whole
you were in the
Rolodex of every
scene,
line of dialogue.
like, you're gonna be in a scene later. Worry about that then.
Yeah.
Instead, like, and of course, if you see something like, I feel like there was an opportunity missed, awesome. That is a note I can have be tangible. Oh, now I can choose to be more aware so I don't miss anything. And will I miss something still? Of course. But that teaches me instead not to be like, oh, you're a friggin' idiot, but instead, oh, I have an opportunity to be better. I'm
Mhm.
not just objectively crappy at improv. What us like I have so many students who, like, trying to teach on Zoom with like eye contact, it's, you
Yeah.
don't have any eye contact, but I have so many students who like make choices being like, hi Jen, how are you? Like it's vulnerable, it's scary, but when I say, I'm like, you can look at me, you're allowed, everything you did was right, but you're also allowed to, like, we're gonna have a better connection if
Hmm.
we look at each other and then we can see what we're missing.
Oh
like
yeah.
because this doesn't help anybody. This just keep, like, if this keeps you in a place of fear-based thinking in literally any aspect of life does nothing. Like,
Hmm. Oh
um
yeah.
there's security and there's safety. That's being aware. That's different. That's
Hmm.
that. But to do things by saying, like, oh, that's what I was going to say. I've had students say, like, I can't look at you, I can't do it. I'm like, you can though. I'm doing it right
Hmm.
now. It's super
Hmm.
easy. Like, and that's all people need, is permission to know that they can do something versus
Hmm.
consistent discipline or public shame. What a dumb waste of toxic, you know, power power grabbing
Oh,
stuff in art. Hate it.
100%, 100%. I just wanted to touch real quick on and I'll ask you if you had like any aha moments when you're doing improv, because I at first was like, oh, I don't get improv because I don't understand every single thing about improv. But I
Yeah.
learned along the way that picking up little things is great. Like I remember when I auditioned for one of the an improv show, which I finally got after auditioning multiple times. Um, I went in originally being like, I hope I do a good job. And then the last time that I auditioned, I went, you know what? whatever happens, happens. And,
Mhm.
it's just, I'm just going to have fun. And I remember the suggestion was like lawyer or like judge or something like that. And it was Foursquare. And I was like, I'm not great with scenic games. I don't know. But I went with what do I feel like I'm strong at? And I was like, I'm gonna make a physical choice because I sometimes like to
Yeah.
talk and I get words out of the way. I'm like, I don't want to say anything, so I just want to make a physical choice. I went and I just laid down and sprawled across the stage and started flailing.
Mhm.
And my scene partner came over and said, "Sir, I know it's been a long day, but we have to get back and like do the cases." And I went, but just 5 more minutes. I just need a break. And like it was this high status character playing so low status. And it was
Yeah.
such a great moment because I was not ever expecting that to happen in this scene of judge or lawyer or courtroom or whatever it was. Because you don't think about that because you're thinking way outside of the box. But I had so much fun to just be like, I can flail my arms. Let me do that.
Yeah. You
And it worked
absolutely can.
so
What
well.
a beautiful choice both you and your scene partner made. That's I mean, to your point of like, well, I'll get to that in a second, but I was gonna say, with the ever so slight choice of like, I'm just gonna do something real dumb, or just I'm just gonna have fun. It doesn't matter. That's your choice. You have made that choice. What a strong choice. And then what an additionally strong choice from your partner saying that this is absolutely right, but sir, like this is
Mhm.
what you do. We know that it's not, hey Spencer, this is dumb. Spencer, get up. It's not Spencer. It's this is we have created a universe where this is absolutely what happens.
Mhm.
And then you get to yes and that being like, like you're
Mhm.
yes anding yourself. And
Yeah.
and that's another big thing. Maybe I was debating, like I've had a lot of aha moments, but I'm gonna say that's probably maybe one of the stronger ones is saying yes to yourself.
Mm.
It doesn't seem like you should. It doesn't seem like we're supposed to
What's
be
the
allowed.
what's the guy's name that's in your head? What's his name?
Oh, Ramone. Let's talk
Ramone,
about Ramone.
yeah. I remember this when you taught me classes. I was like, I remember Ramone.
Ramone, I learned from Stephen Kieran over at Improv Studio, but Ramone
Also
has
a great
changed.
place.
You know what? Ramone changed my life. Ramone is a big changer upper. So there's this guy named Ramone. All right, he's tall, he's super skinny, and he has really nice clothes. And he's got like a 5 o'clock shadow and a wet cigarette hanging out of his mouth, and he's got a French accent. And he is always around being like, Joy, why the hell did you say that stupid thing? Also, what are you wearing? Also, you're at this party too early. You are too early here. What is wrong with you? Also, you sound like your muzzle right now. Like just constant criticism, always there, never leaves me alone, makes me feel like shit constantly. But the thing about Ramone is that he doesn't have a French accent and he's not tall and skinny. He's actually a voice that lives in the back of my head. And he hides in my voice, making me think that all of these things he's saying are true because it's me saying it. But when I was taught about Ramone, that was the moment I understood the concept of a voice in your head. Because forever you hear a voice in your head described as like in a TV show, like a ghost has like entered you and is puppeteering you. And it's not the person's fault. And it's not the person's fault because it's an intrusive friggin' thought. But they don't describe it in that way. They describe it as separate entity from you, when in fact it hides sounding like you because it's very tricky. And once I was able to personify the negative voices in my head, it was easier for me to shut them up because it's like, oh, Ramone's now I know the secret.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know the trick to this. I'm not saying I know the trick to all of life, but that was a big one. Because I fully believed people don't want you at this party. People hated what you just said. People hope you don't do as bad in this show as you did in the last show you did. That voice, say, like you said it earlier, like going on stage being afraid of doing as bad. That I said to myself multiple times, praying to God. I'm not religious by any means, but just in case, I was like, please God, don't let me do as bad as last time. When in fact, I could have been saying, hey, I get to do improv. I get to do improv. Like,
Mm-hmm.
dope. How exciting. I get to make stuff
Mhm.
up and have all of my ideas be validated.
Yeah.
Like, what a gift that they do not teach it that way. Not everybody. I've had many teachers who do teach it that way, and thank God for them, because I would have never gotten to this point of view without them.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the teachers I had take improv in that same adrenaline of it's intense, you know, like
Yeah.
you got to earn your place to be an improviser. Like
Uh-huh.
it's what a waste of time. Like, and so
Mm-hmm.
many, again, I've been doing this for 17 years. A lot of it spent in that kind of mindset. And thank God I was resilient enough to overcome that. But I could have been a person who says, I can't do improv anymore. And I know many
Mm-hmm.
people like that. And it breaks my heart because it's like, I want to improvise with you, but you don't feel the love that improv can be.
Yeah. It feels more like a chore than
Totally.
an exciting adventure.
It shouldn't ever
Uh,
feel like work. It should feel like play. And if it does feel like work, that's your sensor going off being like, oh, right, play. Like
yeah.
that's what you
Yeah.
should be thinking versus like, oh, it's my fault. Like,
Mm-hmm. That's
what?
such great verbiage, great ways to explain it. I think it's all really important because, you know, also it's improv. Like
Yeah.
if it if you have a off night, oh well, no one's gonna remember it in 2 days. Like
Oh
even
no,
like when
you
they leave.
pretended wrong.
Yeah. I people are like, oh, you did a great job in that scene. Like you remember that scene 2 hours ago? I'm like, I literally don't remember what I did. So it's
No
like
clue.
so like please don't bring it up.
I honestly, I only remember, I think I can only really remember scenes from when I really first started improv,
Yeah.
because those were formative years in my improv ways. But since I couldn't tell you unless it's been filmed or someone reminds me.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah, or like those aha moments that I have. I won't forget the aha moments because I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, and it's a positive moment of me going, oh, I get it. So it's like, so there's that. Anyways, do you have anything you want to plug or pitch,
Ooh,
or promote?
follow me. Just follow me. Who knows what's going on in my life? I do a lot of bits on Instagram and I post them at Joy Mamey, Mamey. Make it right. I don't know what that means. But yeah, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, like
TikTok. What an
I
app.
hate TikTok. I was really into TikTok and now I haven't posted in like a couple weeks because like whoever's manning, like conservative TikTokers have found me and report me for being racist, which is fully the opposite of all my comedy. And it's because they feel like white people are feeling racist against them. And I don't know if you noticed anything about me. There's it's pretty remarkable. So I'm kind of done with TikTok in that I'm like, maybe I'll do a video once every 4 months, but it's more about Instagram. It's all corrupt. It's all wrong.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's all sucking out your brain.
It's all
But
basically owned by Facebook.
it's all owned by Facebook. We're all gonna die. Like there's no point to
Yep.
anything. Might as well make a video. Is kind of where I come at it.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, at Joy Mamey is the where to find.
Great. Great. So thanks so much for joining me, Joy. I have one final question for
Yes.
you. And that question is kind of the reason why this whole like improv summit exists. There's a screenshot without my head. There we go. If you want to take
There
a
it is.
screenshot, here's
That's a
here's
good.
the option.
I'll
Um, oh yeah.
I'm not.
Wait, I can't.
Someone else can.
I did the one that I used for promo. I did myself. I just went like this and like took a
The prov
screenshot while I
mitts.
was doing it.
Would you like your new
But
prov mitts?
yeah.
Take out your casserole
Yeah.
with some prov mitts.
but the reason why I'm doing this is because a lot of people before pandemic, but even now, come up to me and like come up to me virtually, I guess, and say, Spencer, you do a lot of improv. Where should I take improv? And it's hard for me to answer that question because I feel like it's such a loaded question. I kind of have to like figure out what people's goals are with improv. But if someone came up to you and asked you that question, what's like one piece of advice or one tidbit you'd give them to help guide them on their improv journey?
I'll tell you this. I've studied everywhere. So the thing that I learned before I studied everywhere, when I just devoted all my time to one company, I felt so stressed out all the time at this one company trying to prove myself. And I did that for many, many years. And it wasn't until I was like, I'm going to take a class somewhere else. I'm going to just do it. A friend was like, hey, we're going to do this class. You want to join us? And I said, yes. And I got so much confidence from realizing, like in a level 1 class at a different theater, at Improv Studio, actually, was the first place I took a class outside of comedy sports. And I realized, I'm like, like you said, like, I know this. I can do this. And then I realized, take as many classes from different people as you can, because the only thing that's going to make you a better improviser is more perspective. Mm-hmm. It's the only thing. I'll tell you, don't spend $1,000 on a class. Don't feel like you have to prove yourself, that you have to move up in a company. You can, don't get me wrong. It's awesome if you do, but don't waste your energy and your soul on trying to prove yourself to one place when you could be taking so much more delicious tidbits of info. I always learn something from a new 101 class. Always. It blows my mind. I'm like, how did I never know this? You know,
Mm-hmm.
like, why didn't anybody tell me? It's because not everybody knows everything, but everybody knows something. So I love Improv Studio. I love the pack. The pack has been one of the places where I'm like, maybe my career, like maybe I can get a handle on my career. If that's what you care about. If you just want to be a storyteller and have fun and learn everywhere. And make as many friends as you can, and then improvise with all of these people from all of these different walks of life. It's so much fun to see what other people think is funny. Because then you're like, I didn't know. And now you do. But I love Improv Studio. I really do. They're making real strides in, as well as the pack, in terms of diversity, equity, inclusion. And that is a big testament. Find a place where people who look different than you go. And if there's not a place and you are a person who looks different than the rest of them, go there and add some perspective. Because you are a unique human being. So we want to hear it, you know? It's not your job to, help or educate, but we do. Right. We're grateful for it, because we're all going to be better for hearing your perspective.
Yeah. And having multiple perspectives is how you learn and how you grow as a person and as a human, is to invest yourself in all this knowledge that is being offered in its own way.
Yes. Invest in knowledge. That's the only thing that we get to hold on to, really. So, might as well.
Schoolhouse Rock, you once said, knowledge is power.
That's right. They did. I have a Schoolhouse Rock lunchbox up there.
I have the lunchbox too. I
have
the book, and I have,
did it have the CDs in it? Did it have 4 CDs in it?
Yeah,
I
had
the same one.
And I had
Interplanet Janet. We're talking conjunction.
The America Rock, the Multiplication Rock, Science Rock, and then they have new ones. I have the whole series on DVD. I have all the CDs. I have the whole series on DVD. I have a book about the history of Schoolhouse Rock. Anyway,
Schoolhouse Rock was great. It really was.
Well, Joy, thanks so much for joining me. This has been a lot of fun. And I said that was the last question for you, but as always, I'm a big liar on this show. I have another question for you.
Yes.
And that question is, we've been talking a lot about improv. Do you want to do some improv?
I'm good. Of course I do.
I was going to say, yes, and
I'm good. I think we did enough here today.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm exhausted. What if that was just the scene? No, I'm good.
What if I just didn't know how to improvise? After all this talk, I was like, I don't want to.
Yeah, right.
I don't want to.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Okay. So I'm going to offer you, do you want a location, a relationship, or a word?
Give me a location.
All right, a location. It is Alligator World.
Awesome.
My Florida heart just melted.
Lord Crocodile, I have message from the other planets. Giraffe World is planning on an attack.
I don't know if we can tackle the giraffes. They've got such long necks.
Their
We're
length
fast
of
and
neck
we're big,
is
but
outnumbers our troops alone. We
it's
are
outrageous, quite
swamp
frankly.
creature. They will
Yeah.
trample us in the waters.
Any other news from any of the other worlds? Someone on our side, maybe?
Crocodile World says this sounds like a you problem. We
As they
asked
always
for help.
do.
They don't care.
They don't. Neither do the Caimans.
Lizard Planet. They're sunbathing on the shores of Mozambique
Those lizards.
their Mozambique. And all of our allies are too busy to help us. And I think you know why, sir. I think you know why, and I think you have to own up to it.
I know last time it was a big mess. It was a big mess. The last war was just me trying to save ourselves. I didn't really help
Yeah,
the others.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's on me. That's on
It's
me.
sir, I have been your royal vizier for over 30 years.
And I do appreciate that. You're very heavily underpaid, and I just wish I could give you more, but
That is a conversation we need to have, but we're gonna bar it for now. But it is a conversation we need to have.
sidebar for later.
Yes, but sir, no one trusts us anymore. I trust you. You're my BFF, my big friend in power of finances, my BFF,
Yeah.
and but I know you are more caring than this. You were so mean to the lizards and the crocs.
I know, and I regret everything. I just, it's it's like I was thinking it was alligators or us. It was the crocodiles or us. We're the alligators, and I just, I didn't want us. I wanted us to survive, if anything. I was thinking about us, but in return, I was also thinking about us and me, and the fact that I wanted to survive, but I didn't think about all of my fellow animals.
And I just think that's if I were to be honest right now, I like in our friendship, I feel like you say you do things for us, but they are really just for you. Like that one time we all went to Burger King and it's because you wanted to wear one of the crowns. And you said you were doing it for us, but in actuality, everyone wanted to go to Alligator McDonald's, and it was fine. It's fine. It's a moot point, but it hurts. It hurts to know this. That's your POV, you know.
Yeah, I really wanted to be in charge. I'm sorry.
And that's your
Maybe it's not
prerogative.
fit.
It's totally you're the king. It's totally your prerogative. But like, could you be like? But like, I'm valid too, you know.
You're right.
And so are our cousins. They're our family. My lord, I hold this spear in your name, but also in theirs. Also them.
You know what? I think we need to propose a meeting of the nations. Alligator World, Crocodile Kingdom, Cayman Island, all of them. We just need to bring them all in. I will apologize for my mistakes, and maybe I'll just crown another king.
What do you mean crown another kiss, sire? You have many more years to reign. Who would you even crown? Who would you even think of a crown?
I mean, you.
What? Sire.
Do you want to be king?
Is this real? Are you
Comes
being
with a pay raise, big pay raise.
are you you're not messing with me. You're being real right now.
Yes or no?
Yes. Yes. 1,000 times yes.
Congratulations.
This is
You are the new king of Alligator Island world, Kingdom Land.
We really need to work on the name.
See. Thanks everybody so much for coming to the Improv Summit. Somewhere on the screen is Joy. I'm Spencer. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.